A lot of people want to know how to tap into their intuition, but in my experience, your intuition is literally always playing in the background. We're just conditioned to not listen to it and to instead listen to societal conditioning of whatever makes the most sense. Basically, we're conditioned to prioritize societal conditioning over what makes the most sense and what we should do over what our intuition is telling us. And our brain knows what we prioritize, and it will basically tune out anything that we are not prioritizing. So if our intuition is constantly telling us, no, do this, but societal conditioning is saying, don't do that, do this, because that doesn't make sense, and we repeatedly listen to the societal conditioning, eventually we begin to tune out our intuition. A practical real world example of this is when I took a job a year and a half ago that I didn't want to take, and it ended up being a lot better. A year and a half ago, I was a nurse aide, and I had been a nurse aide my entire adult life, basically. But I wasn't certified, and it costed money to get certified, so I never got certified. And the conditions where I was working since I was a young adult, like right out of high school, basically, were not good. They basically said, if you don't like these conditions, then quit doing this kind of work because it's like this everywhere you go. So I ended up deciding, fine, I'm going to quit doing this kind of work. And I decided I'm going to be a housekeeper. So I started looking for housekeeping jobs, went to an interview, and it ended up that I would have had to take a $5 an hour pay cut. And at first I said no. I don't want to take a $5 an hour pay cut because I will end up having to work way more to compensate for what I'm lacking. So I went home and my intuition started screaming at me, call them back, take that job. That job's going to lead you to more money. You're going to end up getting more money. You're going to end up getting more money than you had to begin with. Take that job. So I took the job, even though it didn't make any sense and I didn't want to. And I literally cried about it because I was like, I'm going to be working all the time and I'm going to be poor still. This sucks. 6 months into this job, the company also has nurse aides. I find out that after 6 months, you can transition to being a nurse aide. They will pay for your certification. You make more money. And I already knew that that company did not have the conditions that my job said every single place has. I had already found out that that company did not do the things that my job said is normal. I almost didn't take this job to begin with because it was a $5 an hour pay cut and I would have had to work way more. I did have to work way more than before to compensate for 6 months. But 6 months in, I was able to work less, make more money, have a license or a certification that was paid for in order for me to go anywhere and make the same amount of money. I didn't take that job because I knew that would be the outcome. I never thought I would be returning to the same position ever again. I almost didn't take the job because societal conditioning said, why would you take a pay cut? That doesn't make any sense. But my intuition was screaming, take the job, take the job, take the job. So I took the job, and my intuition was correct. 6 months later, it led me to a much better place. I was only able to listen to my intuition in this way because I had practiced putting my intuition above what societal conditioning tells me makes sense for 3 years at that point. I had been practicing it. I had been practicing tuning into my body, tuning into what my intuition feels like, and listening to my intuition over what makes sense. Now, this is in no way to say take risky decisions that could impact your life negatively, but it is to say that if there is an option between something that makes less sense and something that makes more sense, but your intuition is telling you to do the one that makes less sense, but you'll still be okay if you do it, listen to your intuition. That's what I did. And the more you do it, the more you tap in, the more you listen, the more you do the thing that might make less logical sense, but your body and your intuition is telling you to do it, the louder your intuition will become and you will see results. You will see reasons why your intuition was guiding you to what it was guiding you to why it was guiding you to certain people and away from certain people, to why it was guiding you to certain jobs and away from certain jobs, to why it was guiding you to get into to learn about certain topics and not learn about others. There is always a reason for why your intuition is guiding you to what it's guiding you to, and it usually doesn't make logical sense, but it's a higher part of our mind that knows better than we know where we could be led in the long run. And the more you listen to your intuition over the societal conditioning, the more easy it will be to hear your intuition because your brain will start to prioritize your intuition over societal conditioning.